seem to know. Yes. So, good evening and welcome to this evening's meeting of Planning and Highways Committee. This evening being the 11th of March 2025, and this meeting is being recorded for publication on the Thatcham Town Council YouTube channel. Welcome to everybody. So, agenda item 1.
Just one apology to make, Chairman, Councillor Pemberton.
Thank you. And declarations of interest. Anyone got a declaration of interest? No keen gardeners. Anyway, so
hello.
I'm thinking I've actually got 2 items on a garden because there's the planning application as well. The minutes of the meeting. So taken, read as confirmed, as accurate, the minutes of the meeting held on the 11th of February. So I propose. Do I have a second? Do I have the questions on it first? I should ask. No one seemed to be jumping to see them. So I propose we do have a seconder, and I think Councillor David Lund was first. Are those in favour of approving? Thank you. That's unanimous. So moving on to planning applications, and we have 2 for consideration tonight.
First one is the Thatcham Garden Centre on the Bath Road. Proposed development proposing new commercial units, including a drive-through cafe, parking, landscaping. Subdivision works at the garden centre. Here is the plan. So it's that little parcel of land on the corner of Tollway and Benham Hill. This is the proposed drive-through. We'll zoom in for you a little bit. It's quite small. It's the garden centre there.
So it's on the corner of Bath Road and Tollway.
Yeah. There is access there now, isn't there?
Yeah, it's
existing access, but however there will be. Yeah. Zoom out so you can see a bit more. Right?
I'm a bit confused. What is it they're looking to do?
So it's what's within the red line. So the green on the left is a proposed drive-through. The blue is a proposed commercial space, which I think is for business type use.
Yeah, they haven't clarified what this drive-through cafe will be.
And the brown on the right is also marked proposed commercial, but I believe that's more retail oriented.
Yeah, and then you've got the 14 spaces here.
Yeah,
and then this drive-through will be.
And if I recall correctly, they're beefing up the vegetation around the boundary screening.
Yeah, as you can see.
So the drive-through, whatever it says in the planning application, the use class would cover a coffee type or fast food type. So
I've had a look. It doesn't say,
but whatever it says,
narrow it down a little.
Yeah, but if whatever it said, that would be once planning approval is granted, it could be either.
Yeah.
One thing I did just thinking about this, one thing that it didn't give was any at this stage is any advertising on said drive-through. That would have to be the subject of a separate application.
And is it just waste ground at the moment?
It's open ground, effectively. Yeah.
I think I drove in there the other week and had a quick look.
Yeah, it's mainly grass area at the moment.
Yeah.
Would you be kind enough to put the red drawing up?
Absolutely.
Perfect. My only concerns is a drive-through car park could be 100 cars, additional cars an hour. Something like that. It could be even more than that. It just depends on the drive-through. My concern would be that they don't alter the in and the out. That has to be, that's the in and that's the out for everybody.
It is at the moment. It's a one.
That's what I'm saying. But my only concern is that they'll turn around and at a future date try and make the an out as well, and the other out becomes an in as well.
Yeah.
So
they can't because there's a central reservation on the road, so you can't turn right. Oh, you'd have to turn left.
What I'm talking about is cars coming down Tully, turning into the site.
Right.
In here rather than going all the way around.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my concern would be that would have to be clearly something that would have to be really thought of, because you don't want that again. You then turn it into a very confusing.
They're not changing the absolutely if it's outside the red line area. and it is a, in fact, it's a turn left only. Yeah.
The people come down and tell me, say, I don't need to go round the roundabout, I can actually come in there, that's a garden centre. And
of course, the highways have assessed this, they've assessed it on the basis of this layout, so they have to go back for planning permission if they were going to change the entrance.
Okay, that would be my only concern. Other than that, fantastic, bring more work, bring more, whatever. Yeah. I hope it's a gradually upgrade to keep my way to that.
Say as a regular user of the garden centre, you have to go round the garden centre and come down that straight, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of room. I know there is currently the position where cars coming up can come up and turn left to go out of the exit, but there doesn't seem to be an awful lot of room for that those joining vehicles.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't go quite right.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Because the site's actually longer. Yeah, the site goes past where the red line is all the way up.
Yeah, so you can see you've got the retail units, you've got another bank of retail units, you've got the gravel
park.
the gravel supplier at the far end.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, speed humps quite nasty up there, isn't it? Especially when you're laden with materials.
And somewhere towards the top, you've also got the oil pipeline. It's going underground.
What's somewhere around there?
Sorry?
Around there, is it?
It's the top end of it.
Yeah, I can't remember.
So that was my only concern.
So having looked through, the highways will have done an assessment on the basis of this layout, and they're pretty thorough. So looking at people here, I would propose that we make no objection. I haven't heard any comments, any caveats anyone wants to put. Nobody. So I propose to make no objection. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Watts, and those in favour of making no objection? Okay. So
moving on to second one, 242 Benham Hill. Again, this one
opposite.
Is it?
Very much. I can't get a decent Google map view because of where it is, but
presumably on that stuff of the old road, is it?
So this is the existing floor plan and elevations. Yeah, I'll have a little look whilst we're here, but we'll look at the elevations first. So this is existing. This is for first floor extension, new loft conversion on existing rear ground floor extension. So it's just purely because of a location and everything else, but I mean,
This is going higher.
so that's the existing. And this are the proposed elevations. So it is quite substantial, but still.
Still below the ridge line, which is.
Yeah, but I think it's definitely one to just make sure we're happy.
My recollection is that quite a few of the houses there have been expanded.
That is to make it 3 stories.
First floor.
No, there's going to be a loft conversion. Not yet. So
Yeah.
3 floors.
3 floors.
What does it mean?
Let me try and find. You can see it on the map, but it was blocked by the bus stop last night. It's just. So it's these.
Yeah.
Across the way. I think it's just further up.
Yeah, and you can see the one to the left of that already had Phillips in the.
Yeah.
Roof, but that's more of a shadow. That is 3 stories.
Different, but.
Have we had any neighbours say anything about it, positive or negative, just as a query?
No.
They're set back quite a long way from the.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's not anything closely behind that it's going to be overlooking.
They got, at that age, it's probably got quite a long garden. Okay, so looking at people's faces, can I propose no objection again? Do I have a seconder this time? Councillor J. Landers. Thank you.
So I'm getting hand.
And then we have 4 applications that we are not intending to consider. And just briefly to say that I have looked at the documentation for the Thatcham Memorial playing fields. This is a minor amendment to the layout and surface of, I think it's actually a maintenance plan is one of the documents for the footpath across there. So it is nothing of substance. So I don't. It's not worth. It's not necessary to consider it. Yeah.
It was an amendment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we've already discussed it.
And I think one of the points was that the highways raised concerns about the durability of the surface, which is compacted limestone in order that it's flexible for roots. And so there's a maintenance plan as well as part of the additional documentation. Gotcha. Yeah. So with that, I just pass that part and note that and pass on then. Thank you. Decision notices.
There's quite a few.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to just get in briefly before that. There was something I meant to do, but you were so quick, right? If we skip back to item 3 just for a second, little 2 row back to it.
Yeah.
For the town clerk, should that now be altered to the planning officer or your role, place manager? Would that otherwise? Do you know?
Very good question. Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
It's just as a tidying up exercise. You've settled it nicely, so it's
That's okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Noted.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, there's quite a few that have trickled through. If there's any that stand up, please let me know. But
so that is the appeal. I can't remember if that's the second or the third application. I think that was the second application. There is a third application which has been refused, I think. Anyway, so
I'm not sure.
anyway, so yeah, so that appeal is dismissed. That is, of course, now in the area that is within the settlement, the gap in the local plan.
Yeah.
The local plan has now reached a stage, although it's not finally adopted, where that policy will carry some weight.
A couple of retrospectives, but mainly approvals.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing really. Too much to say.
Local plan review. The update since the last meeting is that the council have published, well, there are two sets of documents that have been published. The council has published all of the responses in their original form, including the covering emails. Even when it says please find attached, that's still there, and they then had to redact all of the information. But all of those have been published, and on the council's website and the inspector's website, there is four documents supplied by the council. Four documents supplied by the council. There is a summary document of the responses grouped by modification. There is a document of the conclusions of the council to those representations, which can be summarised as dismissive in general. And but having said that, I think the majority of the representations will be matters for the inspector rather than for the council. But the tone of the comments that they made were not supported. And then there are two further documents which relate to a proposal which they have proposed, which relates to the settlement boundary around Hennick Park, which I think is a technical matter relating to consistency of documentation. It's a minor variation. I think that the line that was proposed didn't exactly align with the wording of the policy for that site. So we're still awaiting the response from the final report from the inspector, where he will consider those other representations and potentially make changes as a result. Some of which might be, there's I think a number of things which he's likely to make of a fairly procedural minor matter. There's always possibility of making some more substantial changes. Having looked through the representations, I've only looked at the ones from bodies rather than from individuals. And it's worth noting the response from Natural England, which ran to about more than 10 pages in total, covering the 4 additional sites, and it's got 3 pages on North East Thatcham. So being an advisory body, it doesn't reach any conclusions, but it has detailed comments on shall I say, concerns and reservations about the changes to North East Thatcham. And that, of course, is a statutory consultee. So that's one area where the inspector is likely to give considerable weight. So where are we now? I was I was expecting the
Especially in the next meeting.
well, I think it had almost certainly be at the next meeting, but I was sort of expecting it to be almost by now. But by the way, the process is that the inspector himself writes the report. He might have done quite a lot of that before a lot of that is relating to what's happened before the consultation, so he probably wrote quite a lot of it. It then goes to an internal quality assessments department within the planning inspectorate, and they check the report for legal compliance precedents. And then it goes to West Berkshire Council for review for factual matters only. And then it goes back to the inspector for him to submit it officially to the council, and the council is the body that publishes it.
For those hordes of people who are watching this on YouTube,
yes,
when is that likely to come back as the formal approved? Everybody's double checked and triple checked. Do you suspect?
I was sort of expecting it by now, to be honest. It was end of January was the consultation. We're in mid-March. I think it will be before our next meeting. It may be, if it's taking a long time, it may be because there are substantive issues resulting from the consultation. And there is a letter which the inspector, from the minister to the planning inspectorate, which the inspector attached to one of his documents, which basically told the inspector to get a move on planning, not to delay unnecessarily. So I think they will expedite it. It may also be, of course, that there are a number of regular policy changes coming out of government. The last one was 2 days ago, and while then they're not always retrospective to the existing local plans, they may have to consider whether they are. That may be another cause of delay.
But you expect it within the next 3 to 4 weeks?
I anticipate. I have no evidence. Yeah, I have no evidence, but yeah, that's sort of getting the feel for.
Would we have enough to make?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to work out the timeline. So if it comes in within the next 3 weeks,
yeah,
would that be enough time for us then to put it on our agenda so we can discuss it, or
yeah, because
that then bounces by default to 5 weeks later, which is
depends. It depends. But of course, we will see it when it will be published by the council on receipt. But it then has to be considered by the council. So there's an extra period for the West Berkshire Council, which gives us an additional. It extends the window where we can take action if we want to.
That's helpful.
Some of it.
Well, I mean, West Berkshire won't move fast because they've got to consider all the other implications as well. So you could be talking up to 2 months away before it really, you can get a good bite at it.
Though the minister's instruction to not delay things, which was originally December 2023, is still in force. So it's in force up to the point of the vote.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I don't think there's anything else on the local plan review. So we move on to agenda item 7.
Yes, to consider section 154 nuisance obstruction notices. West Berkshire have proposed to Thatcham Town Council to provide assistance in relation to vegetation that overhangs the highway. It should be within your packs, I believe. If not, I will present it. And we've got page. So there's a email from the asset manager, Andrew Reynolds. And this is literally just the initial email that's presented on the screen. You can find it in your packs.
So, can you remind me what the 3 attachments were? Do you have those?
I'll just let everyone read that bit, and then there is a flow chart. But
Oh, right,
I will just say that I've posted.
James to the officer for the meeting to ask West Berkshire Council if we decided to investigate this further, is what if they have a written policy on what constitutes obstruction. Because if we're going to start the process, it's very important that we know
This is the notice. This is the first notice that that resident would receive. I'm not quite sure why that message has come up. Sorry. And yeah, they have 14 days, but it's defining what is overhanging vegetation.
Yeah.
And then the process, their little flowchart process.
I think actually I spotted what I believe to be a legal error in their first letter.
It didn't say that their process is up for review.
No, it wasn't that. I think it said that the boundary of property is normally the middle line of a hedge.
Wow.
Now that is true for rural roads where there's no defined, where they're historic, and there's no record, but where there is a title deed, then the hedge should be within the property. So the centre line should be. The hedge should be on the boundary of the property. Because they don't want people going down and cutting edges, step back to the centre line, because then it kills the hedge. Yeah. So that would be one question. If we decide, if we have an interest in pursuing this, is to ask if they have a written policy on what constitutes an obstruction. Because I looked at the legislation; it's not just overhanging; it has to cause a nuisance by overhanging. And the second question is, how do we identify the boundary of the property? Because quite often, if you have a grass or something in front of a property, it's not always clear whose ownership that is. So, and I think the other comment I would make is that whatever process we have in place, somebody would need to, on behalf of the town council, would need to inspect. We can't rely on just information supplied by residents. Yeah. So, Captain McCann.
Yeah, it's judgment. Who's going to judge that that's wrong? Can a member of the public come up with pictures in the process? So that's quite convoluted. There will be a cost to us because someone will have to go and inspect, one would assume, unless somebody turns up with a video and then you keep that as an evidence base or something, but it's a process. I was more concerned about the confusion of roles. Because suddenly you've got to go to the town council to start the process. Or do you go to West Berkshire and start the process and we're told ping an email and you go, I don't know what.
I'm assuming that
they would receive the inquiry on their system, but I don't know.
Well, I'm assuming that if we receive an inquiry, we'll be entitled. I don't think that West Berkshire will be passing complaints that they receive back to us.
I don't know.
That's an interesting question. It's unclear,
but it's just it's administrative.
So my concern is about the confusion of roles.
Yeah,
for us as town council.
Yeah,
and the public.
Yeah.
What are the potential cost implications? And who within our current staffing would actually fulfil that task? Should we consider going down that road? Those are the three questions I would like some sort of answer. I'm not against picking up stuff for West Berkshire to do, but it has to be logical, it has to be reasonable, and it can't be just happen off something for.
So I think it's two of those points I made. There's two,
Yeah.
two for West Berkshire Council. The first one is, do they have a written policy
Yeah.
that we can apply? And the second one is, are they expecting to pass complaints or made to them to
Yeah.
us, or are they envisaging that we would only deal with ones that come to us initially?
Yeah, that's that. Could I then suggest, once we get that information, that we bounce this to R&A, because it would seem that's more a recreational issue, or would you say that it's more of a planning issue?
It's a highway issue.
Highway.
Yeah, it's just a section one for across highways.
Yeah, it's purely to do with highways. It won't be
No, yeah, it's just
a neighbour's hedges over their garden type of stuff. Wouldn't be any of that kind of stuff.
No, because that's not a council matter at all.
No.
If it's between properties, then
it would have to come to us then because of open space.
Yeah.
yeah.
But obviously, yeah, this is related to the yeah, this is definitely highways.
Yeah, so they were all, it's not an objection. I'm okay, open to the idea, but we need to flesh this little one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yes.
Okay, so where do we get to on the agenda? So I think that's an action for you, no decision at this meeting.
Yeah.
Actually, another point I would make there is that quite often obstruction is caused largely by vehicle parking on the pavement, narrowing the footway, and then people think that the hedge is at fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, planning matters. To receive any planning matters arising since the publication of the agenda. Traffic management, highways and road safety management.
Yeah, just want to know West Berkshire Council notified on a tree preservation order.
Strangely, the same location.
Yes.
As the second appeal and the third application. Could we just consider it?
I would just present it. Application, but this came through.
Yeah.
Once it loads. It might, is it within your packs? It might be within your pack. Maybe we should have printed as well. Oh, here we go, here we go. So.
So we got something in our pack about bus shelters.
Yeah. Yeah. That something after.
Okay, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Matters since the yeah. So anyway,
Is there a picture? Is there?
No. Oh. There.
It's not loading the actual.
Okay, that's the location. So the way we go to the west is Hambridge Road, and the road to the north.
Hambridge Road, and then you've got Benham Hill, yeah. So it's on that little bit parcel of land between Thatcham and neighbours.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Just looking for you guys tonight.
Thank you. So we then get to the
Yes, and then,
matters arriving since the publication.
yes, we've discussed this previously in committee about the bus shelter scheme from West Berkshire Council. It's now got to the service level agreement, which is within your packs, that come in, and basically it will then, the money will be then given to council as grants. We will then be liaising with exterminator to install them, 6 in total, and they're looking to do it in mid to late spring. So West Berkshire got all the documentation through, service level agreement, and it was just to see if we're all happy with it before we proceed to the next day.
My only question was, has there been any public response to the notifications of any of this? Was it more negative?
We've had a couple, because a couple of them will be grass roofs. So we're going to be introducing them.
Good, yeah.
There was consultation with immediate neighbours before the sites were selected.
Yes,
There was one that local residents asked for, but it was not suitable because it was too close to the boundary. So, so there has been, before the list was chosen, the affected properties were consulted.
And I assume when we are get the grant, we will be making something on our Facebook pages to say,
Oh, it will be,
this is all coming, you know.
Yep.
It's not low maintenance, the grass is actually supposed to be there.
well, that'll be the big thing, you know, the big PR, but yes, we'll obviously publicise it. But yes, it's certainly, it's moving along, it's nearing completion, so it's just the SLA just to make sure everyone's happy.
Yep.
So if you can get that street, then you can.
Okay, so thank you very much. Nothing else to update us on?
No, that's it, Chairman, thank you very much.
Absolutely fantastic.
So with that, I close the meeting.
Thank you.